Hello, welcome everyone to a new season for us, for new episodes of the Microsoft Virtual Ninja Show. My name is Heike, and the first episodes are all about Copilot for security. We will today start with getting started, and we will have many more episodes so that you can actually get your hands dirty and really enjoy Copilot for security. For today, I have Sean with me. Sean, please introduce yourself.
I'm Sean Wasonga. I'm a senior product manager in the Microsoft Cloud Ecosystem Security team. I work for customer experience engineering, and I focus on threat intelligence, but most importantly, Copilot for security. Nice to be here.
It's a hot topic, and you and your team, you did amazing work because you just published the GitHub community. It's a huge repository of playbooks, prompt books, plugins, lots of things, as well as our beloved Ninja training. Tell us a little bit about these two resources, please.
Yes, first and foremost, a group effort. We had lots of PMs coming together to achieve both of those artifacts. First and foremost, we have the GitHub community. Very important. This is a central repository where you can get access to loads of information associated with the Copilot for security. If you need some sample prompts, you can find them there. If you need prompt book samples, how to run your automation, how to get different guides, processes around custom plugins, all of that can actually be found there. And it's a growing community. We have lots of people coming in, contributing. Really good resource to use.
And I'm already taking my first call to action. So if someone created a plugin, a prompt, something, please submit it, because a GitHub community is only a community if other people also contribute. Good.
Yes, that's true. Contribute.
Yes.
Now, the second resource is our Ninja training, and think of this as the guide to help you through your journey with Copilot for security. It starts at a very beginner level and ends in an advanced level. And the whole aspect is to give you a central scenario to cover all the aspects that are focused on Copilot for security. We have trainings there. And most importantly, we also have a knowledge check that just keeps you up to speed and tests your knowledge in regards to Copilot for security as well.
Yes, and then you get a nice, fun Ninja certificate, which looks beautiful.
It's a beautiful one.
Thank you. And of course, there is also official Microsoft Learn certification, also for Copilot for security. I think this one is super fun to go through the training, to do the knowledge check, and then get a certificate. So now, Sean, let's go into our topic. It's about getting started, right? So someone got the permissions to go and get Copilot for security, spend money on it. And so how do we do this? How do we get started?
Thanks, Heike. I think what we're going to do today is talk about two key elements: how we kickstart our onboarding onto Microsoft Copilot for security, but most importantly, the minimum requirements that are required for us to basically leverage Copilot for security. Now, to do this, the minimum requirements are very simple. You require your subscription, an Azure subscription, where you're basically an Azure owner or a contributor at a resource group level, and you have the ability to basically provision what we're calling security compute units. The security compute units are essentially the resources that are required by Copilot for security to be able to allow you to prompt and basically get the value out of it as well. These security compute units are billed per hour. It's a consumption-based model, and it's essentially what you'd require for us to set it up. On top of that, you also need to have the ability to provision the capacity which will leverage these security compute units for you to be able to use within Copilot for security. Now, once you have these minimum requirements, you then move over towards the next step, which is onboarding onto Copilot for security. Similar, we have two steps that are involved in this process. One, provisioning the capacity, and two, setting up the default environment. To provision the capacity, we have two options in terms of how this can be achieved. One, do this directly through the Copilot for Security portal. And the second one is doing it through Azure. Let's take you through the process of doing it directly through the portal. Now, all you need to do is have the required roles, which is an Azure owner or a contributor at the resource group level. Then you can basically sign in into Copilot for Security at securitycopilot.microsoft.com. Once you do that, you'll be furnished with the Get Started visualization, right? And this basically allows you to kickstart the next process in terms of selecting the capacity that you need to use in Copilot for Security. Now, once you click on Get Started, you are then serviced with a couple of options. Information on the subscription, the resource group, the ability to set the capacity name, choosing the location at which your data will be stored and actually evaluated, and on top of that, the ability of the number of units that you intend to use. Now, from a guidance perspective, you can be able to add more security compute units or deprovision security compute units depending on your need. And you can actually start by provisioning at least one SCU to kickstart your process on using Copilot for Security.
So the CSU here, so can you just add more here, or is this in a different portal where you have to first acquire them, or is that the same process?
So initially you need to first set it up, right? You need to say, I want to use 1, 3, or even 50 SCUs, right?
Mm-hmm.
There is an amount in regards to it, right? We charge it at $4 an hour. So ideally you need to set up at least the minimal amount, then test it to determine whether you need more or you need less, right? Okay. Now, in terms of your question, this can be done directly from the Copilot for Security portal. So in the initial process, it's just setting it up, but you can scale or descale as needed. So once you have set up the SCUs, you then move over towards the next step, which is basically acknowledging that you've actually created the capacity and then selecting the continue button to conclude the initial onboarding process. All right. Now, remember, that's the first way you can actually do the first process of provisioning capacity for your Copilot for Security instance. Mm-hmm. Switching gears, let's move over towards the second option. And here you can do it directly through your Azure portal. Similar to what's required, you'll require an Azure owner or a contributor sort of permission to be able to create this capacity. All you need to do is sign in into your Azure portal, go look for Copilot for Security, select the resource group which you want to deploy this instance, and immediately, once that is done, click on the Create button. Once you do this, it will basically take you to another page that will ask you similar questions as which you had already seen in the first process. The ability to select the subscription, the resource group, the capacity details. Now, this one is the capacity name, where you want to evaluate your prompt, and the number of security compute units that you will need. So, as you can see, similar experiences, just different locations in terms of how you can achieve this.
Just so we don't confuse the audience, we are general available, right? Yeah. And the screenshots here in our documentation still say preview, so it's not in preview anymore.
Yes, this is correct, Heike. We are general available. We probably need to update the docs, but yes, we are JA. Yes. All right. And once you're finished there, all you need to do is click on Review and Create, and then select the Create button, and you would have finished the initial process of provisioning capacity into your environment. Now, that's step one. Let's move over towards step two. Now, step two is actually focusing on the original setup of Copilot for Security. To do this, you require two roles, either being a global administrator or a security administrator. And for you to kickstart this process, you need to move over towards your Copilot for Security environment. And to do that, go to securitycopilot.microsoft.com. And the first thing that you will be asked is basically associate your Copilot for Security with a capacity that has actually been created. Remember, in the first process, we provisioned the capacity. And you can actually see in this process, it's saying select the capacity that you would like to use. Click on the drop down menu, select it, and then it will affirm to you where your data is being stored. Remember, it's always good to ensure that your data is being stored in the particular area that you require. And in this page, it will give you that context.
Quick question. When you say choose your capacity, is this like, how do customers do this? Do they create different capacities for different groups or different purposes? And then you choose a different capacity for what? Like, why do we have capacities?
So capacity, if you could remember in the first step, it's where we associated security compute units to be placed, right? So let's think of an instance where you have a number of different departments in an organization that want to use different elements of SEUs, right? Maybe it's from a billing perspective, maybe it's from a management perspective. They can initiate capacity for each and every one of these departments. But centrally, what we are trying to do here is to ensure that uh, the tenant has been provisioned with SEUs within your selected capacity. So that's how I would look at it. Does that make sense?
Yes. Thank you very much.
All right. So once you've selected, been affirmed where your data is being stored from a regional perspective, you are then given the options of data sharing. And here we have a couple of scenarios where we talk about your data and privacy options. The beauty about this is we give you an option to either select how your data would actually being used within your own tenant, whether it's to validate the product performance or to improve the security AI model associated with your tenant. You have those options. Once you select that, you are then surfaced into the options where you're allowed to select the different roles that have access to Copilot for Security. You have two roles in Copilot for Security: the owners and the contributors. The owners are essentially the global admin and the security admin, and the contributors are any of your additional roles, ideally with security access. So this could be a security operator, a security reader. By virtue, everyone is provided access by default, but you also have the option to determine how you can select those contributor roles via security groups or towards specific members within Copilot for Security.
Okay. And then you pick them here, you select them at the screen.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So here it basically shows you the ones that it's actually assigned, but you do have an option after it's already been provisioned to go towards the owner settings and select the different contributors that you would want to have access to Copilot for Security.
Wonderful. Thank you. And then we are all set.
Yes, last but not least, once you're done, it gives you a summary in terms of what you've set up, your capacity name, the subscription, and all you need to do is just confirm and basically click on the securitycopilot.microsoft.com, and that should take you to the next page, which kickstarts your getting started process. All right. So, welcome to the exciting part, which is the getting started, right? So, after you've provisioned your environment, set up the default environment, you then moved on towards the next process, which is the getting started. To do that, go to securitycopilot.microsoft.com. You should be surfaced with the following screen. Now, the first thing you need to do is click on the Get Started button. Once you do that, you're given options to basically select the theme for Copilot for Security. Personally, I prefer the dark mode. And as you can actually see, once you select that, you're then given an option to affirm that your information is actually protected. Remember, Microsoft operates on trust. So we're just giving an affirmation that your data is captured in regards to our data and privacy regulations that we have in play. Once we have done that, we click on the understand button. It then opens up a very nice introduction saying, welcome to your new Copilot for Security, your AI powered partner to help with the organization and keep you secure. After that, click on the continue button, and then it kickstarts your first run experience in Copilot for Security. The beauty about this is you get information not only around how you can start your own training in Copilot for Security, access to the documentation, but you also get a guided run through on the different elements that are associated with Copilot for Security. All right. So you get information in terms of how you can actually chat with your AI partner, and it's basically telling you that it has options of basically different prompts that you can put in play to kickstart your process. Once you've identified that, click on the next button. It will then tell you these are the ideas that it already has out of the box, right? So similar to what you were saying, Heike, right? We have the sources, we have the prompts, and when I essentially click on the next button, it surfaces me with those options, right? So I see the prompt books, the different capabilities I have against each and every source. And I also have the opportunity to basically select each and every one should I require to run an investigation around my environment, right?
How does it know the sources? I don't think we connected anything with the plugins. So is this like if I ask the question now, I will say, sorry, I don't have any answer for you.
If I click on the next button, you will actually see it will take us to where we can actually get access to the sources. So you see it saying, see
Hmm.
the sources that are available. That's basically associating the data within my environment that I can actually prompt, right? So
Wow. This
it,
next is for very patient people. I would just click on the X and say, let's go. Like, yes. Okay. Oh, there is
yeah,
something already.
there we go. We finally got there, right? So it's not meant to be this slow. I just think it's because we're communicating. It's a bit slow. But if you click on next, 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 it should get you to the sources. In this case, you can see we have first party, third party sources, public websites, and also give you the ability to create your own custom sources, right? Remember, ecosystem, we don't operate by ourselves. And for you to get access, it's a simple click of a button to basically connect towards that. For the third party sources, we also have the ability for you to set up the environment. They
Mhm.
could be API based, they could require additional authentication. All that is available as part of how you can actually connect towards these sources and start to use it.
But it was already selected. So I saw Defender XDR, I saw Defender Threat Intelligence, and seven more. So there was nothing for you to do.
Yeah, this is true. So the first party resources by
Ah,
default are usually enabled. You'll probably need to set up something maybe for external attack surface management,
yeah,
but
yeah.
for majority of the first party products, they're already selected for you.
That's what I thought. That's what I was. Yeah.
Great point. All right. So once we have set this up, let's actually go and ask a question towards Copilot for Security. And to do this, I'm going to ask a very simple question for
How are you?
Copilot for Security. Well, not how are you? I'm just trying. It's a good question, but I'm a bit biased, being that I come from the threat intel team. So I'll ask it a question that's associated with threat intelligence. So you can actually see in this specific case, I asked it a very simple question, which is share with me the latest threat articles. And you can actually see how it works. In this case, we go to, for it being able to automatically select the Microsoft Defender Threat Intelligence tab, look for threat intelligence associated with it. And the expectation is for it to give me a summary of the latest threat articles, probably highlight for me some articles that I need to be keen on as well. Okay, there it is. And as you can actually see, it's providing the highlights of the latest threat articles. And all these articles are actually referenced from Microsoft Defender Threat Intelligence perspective. So this is just a simple scenario in terms of how you can use Copilot for security to run a routine sort of outreach into scenarios such as threat intelligence.
So I think, Sean, it showed everyone how simple it is to set it up. Of course, you need to have the specific permissions and roles, and then ask a simple question once you're ready. So I think once you're ready, there's a lot you can ask, right? I mean, if you have sources connected via the plugins, you can get summaries of like, hey, how many incidents are currently open? How many incidents are assigned to me? How long, like there's so many things that someone can ask to get the hands on and understand, first of all, a little bit that environment, but then of course get Copilot for security to help someone get quicker at the sources and information and the intelligence that they need to solve the actual incident. Yeah, and we will have a lot more episodes coming up. We will talk about how do you prompt in a good way, because I think this is the most important thing someone needs to know and understand on what is the best way on how to prompt to get the best results out. And we will have a session on for CISOs, because I think super important. It's not just for an analyst sitting in front of it, but a CISO that wants to get summaries and reports and all these things. Yeah. And of course, prompt books, prompt books, a lot of things we will discuss. So yeah, thank you so much, Sean. And thanks everyone for watching, and see you soon. Bye.